But what is a Monday coming off a weekend without some controversy, especially in the Premier League? And this time, the controversy really surrounding the officiating. Now, multiple times, this is not a good thing, but multiple times the league has actually come out and said, hey, VAR, got it wrong. Nice to hear the admission, but of course, little consolation when your team is on the losing end. So of course, we saw some blunders this past weekend as well in the Premier League. And Gareth, I'm wondering who bears the brunt of the blame? The officials, VAR, does something just need to change?
Yes, VAR was supposed to simplify the process. You know, kind of help out the officials, and now it's actually hindering the process where whether it's the video, you know, the VAR official or the referee on the field are now watching things through a slowed down lens that isn't always telling the truth. Case in point, the Tomas Soucek sending off on Saturday against Fulham. The West Ham midfielder was merely raising his arm. Mitrovic made a meal of it, went down like he was shot. But then two officials took a look at that play, this innocuous play, and decided to send off the player. This is grandstanding. These are officials that are completely incompetent because the way that they're seeing something through the use of video replay is they're still coming out with the wrong decision, and it's making them look even worse because of it. I think that human error, we all understand that people make mistakes. I wouldn't want to be a referee because of it. It's high profile, it's high pressure, it's a thankless job. But at the same time, when you slow it down and watch it through a replay, if you then get it wrong after that, it makes you look even worse. So the process is being completely complicated. There still is human error. There still is subjectivity around it. So VAR is simply not working as constructed.
Well, we know the big thing coming out of this weekend, speaking of controversy around the officials, is Mike Dean, who handed out a couple controversial red cards, which have then since been overturned, and you just alluded to them, one of them, Gareth. I wonder, Ollie, I mean, you're right. I mean, VAR was supposed to make lives easier for officials. We at home now have all kinds of video angles that we can see as fans. It just seemed logical to make it fair for officials to have that same kind of view and make the proper calls. But what's happening here? Why is this not seeming to work?
Well, I think it's just the level of vitriol that's being directed to Mike Dean. Like, I understand he's not everyone's cup of tea, and sometimes for good reason, but this is a decision that, yes, it's a bad mistake, but mistakes happen. And I think the level of vitriol that's being directed to him, the anger at this decision is crazy. And I think a large part of it is because of VAR, right? We now have this system that was brought in, and it was brought in not only to make sure that more decisions were correct, but also to reduce the scrutiny on referees, right? To give a bit more of objectivity, to make it seem as if, you know, decisions based more in kind of black and white facts could be made rather than the referee's opinion. And what's actually happened is the opposite. We're getting more scrutiny on referees than ever before. There's so much less understanding now when the referees do make a mistake because they're supposed to have the technology to help them. I think the introduction of VAR has meant that fans are now expecting 100% accuracy all the time. They're never going to get it. There's still going to be mistakes made, even with the video technology. There's still going to be decisions made, and maybe even more so now we have a technology that feel unfair. You know, how many tight offsides have we seen, handballs, things like that that are getting even more scrutinized now because of the technology. Again, that's coming back to the referees and getting them more hate and more vitriol. I just think, you know, the referees thought that VAR would help them. I think it's had the opposite effect. I think it's putting more scrutiny on them than ever. I think it's making the debates around refereeing more kind of antagonistic, and again, the vitriol is worse than ever. You've got to question where we go from here with the whole system, because it's just not working in any respect right now.
I think they got to reel it back, Ollie. Like, honestly, sorry, Andy, like, things need to be like black and white in terms of making the decision. Like, did the ball cross the line or not? Hawkeye technology, except for one case, Aston Villa, Sheffield United last year, I mean, it's worked to a T. Like, clear and obvious offsides, not these lines being drawn on the screen where a player's sleeve is just a little bit. That's all nonsense, and that's what's driving people crazy. If you're using technology, then make sure that you're getting it right in a way that's understandable. And Andy, you touched on the death threats to Mike Dean. It's really unfortunate that happened. You know, we're seeing more and more of this nonsense, people hitting out nonsensically at players and referees. But let's not overlook something here, because Mike Dean's stepping away next weekend because of the online hate. He shouldn't be refereeing next weekend based upon his performance. We need to be able to hold referees accountable. We need to know what's behind their decision making. They should speak after the game. The more that we tuck them away and hide them and don't allow them to speak, the less that they can actually state their case, where maybe we'll understand the reason why they make those decisions. There's a huge void in the process. It happened to Southampton twice the week before. Mike Dean was involved in that as well. He's an absolute nightmare. So let's not let that distract from the fact that he's not a good referee and he's not suited to officiate at this level.
There's definitely a lot to digest and unpack when it comes to VAR, because then you wonder if rules need to be changed to also then make it clearer when using technology and VAR. And then to your point, Gareth, what is lost in this is you can make the argument that the referee wasn't being held accountable, Mike Dean in this case, and should not be officiating certain games. But the bottom line is that that's not why he's not officiating. It's because of death threats online, which I think we can all agree is absolutely disgusting, and how any human being can hide behind a keyboard like that and do that to another. Nobody condones that.